evening, everybody, and how are we all doing today? It's time for another Sunday night live stream, and here we are, it's Sunday, the 15th of October, 2022. Hope everyone is well. Hope you've all had a great weekend. It's certainly been interesting weather this week, hasn't it? There has been beautiful, hot sunshine at the beginning of the week, then we had rain, and then today it is so cold here on the south coast. I've had to pop the heater on here in this shed. So yeah, pretty chilly to say the least. So coming up tonight, we have the Alternative Veg Grower Show. This was something we created earlier on at the beginning of the year, and if it's a success, we're going to do it in a few more years. And we came up with some categories between ourselves that we thought would be a lot of fun. And I just asked you to send in a few photos for each category. I think because it was such a new thing, nobody really knew or was too sure what to do. So we actually only have 4 categories to go through. So if you have sent a photo in, there's a good chance you have of winning. Obviously, this is just all for fun. But before we get into that, let's actually see if we have anybody out there. And Turbo Stream says, "Good evening, Veg Podcast. It's been a lovely day here in the Shire, but a tad chilly." Certainly has been that. Adrian is there saying, "Hello, Richard. Hello to you. Hope you are well, my friend." We have got Graham Bolton. "Hi, guys. I'm here early for a change. Lovely to see you. And thank you so much for becoming a member." Who else have we got? Philly SPB is out there saying, "Hello, everyone. Good evening to you." Hargrave Gas is out there saying, "Evening all. Freezing cold here. Lovely sunny day. Hope you've all had a great week." Lovely to see you indeed. I hope you've had a great week as well. Stuart Jackson is out there saying, "Evening, Richard and the Veg Army. Yes, I have been in the garden all day. You lucky man. Hope you are well, buddy." We have got Scott is out there saying, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you." Digwell is out there saying, "Evening, shipmates. Good evening to you." My dad is out there saying, "Good evening to you." Who else have we got? Anybody else? We have got Digwell says, "Cold last night, sunny and very warm today in the Shire." It was cold today, certainly from where I am anyway. Graham says, "Evening, everyone. Good evening to you." That's Graham Arnold. We have got Bethan's Kitchen and Garden saying, "Evening all. Good evening to you." Chitty Kate has joined saying, "Hello, everyone. Good evening to you." And I think that is everyone. If I've missed you, apologies, but please do keep adding your comments and let us know who you are, where you're from, and what you're doing. Stuart Jackson says, "I do have to have my coat on in the garden today. Still clearing acorns. Damn oak tree." People used to pay a lot of money for oak trees, so you've got something there. It has to be said. Turbo Stream says, "Not much gardening to be had after Friday's super soaker." Yeah, that rain was something else, wasn't it? We had a lot of rain here. I'm not saying we didn't need it. We did need it, and it was very, very welcome. But it's just nice to have a bit of sunshine and a little bit warmer than it is today. Now let's get into the show, shall we? I'm just looking at the I'm looking a little bit overexposed for some reason, so I'll have a look at that at some point. Let's get into today's show. Now, the idea of today's show, as I said, back in, I can't remember when it was, probably February, March time, we all came up with a few categories for what we called the Alternative Veg Grower Show. This was based on your traditional garden or village and town fair show, fruit, etc., etc. But we want to make it a bit more fun. We wanted to celebrate the failures, not the good stuff. I mean, we want the good stuff as well, but we want to make something fun out of it with all the bad stuff as well. And you guys came up with quite a few categories. We had the muddiest muddy boots, the most banged up wheelbarrow, and many other categories. But the four categories that we actually had submissions from, if that's the right word, was the weirdest vegetable, the smallest squash, the smallest potato, and the rudest vegetable. So let's get started with the weirdest vegetable. And let me bring this on and we'll go like that. So I believe this one we only had one entry for, which made it very easy to choose the winner because it was this one from Anne all the way in Canada. Basically, it is a cucumber that has twisted around. You know, I couldn't. A very weird looking cucumber, wasn't it? I know some people like their cucumbers like that, and I believe that's actually where they get their name from. But traditionally, we like our cucumbers to be nice, long, and straight. So that was the winner of the weirdest vegetable category. Let's have a quick look in the comments, see if I've got anything. Ian has joined saying, hi, Richard and all. Good evening to you, Ian. Hope you are well. Digwell says to Stuart Jackson, loads of acorns make acorn flour. Or acorn coffee is the other thing. I'm not a lover of acorn coffee. It isn't very nice, but it's something you can do with acorns, of course. Or feed it to pigs. I believe pigs used to eat under oak trees because it helped flavour the meat, as I understood it, or something. Perhaps some of you guys would know more on that than me. Anna Jones says, evening, gardeners. Good evening to you. Lovely to see you. And then David Williams has joined saying, evening all. Good evening to you. Hope you are well. Stuart Jackson says, well done, Anna. Great cucumber. I think it was Anne from Canada. Anne Costalis, that one. Good one. Good one indeed. Turbo Extreme actually says, I didn't know acorns were edible. So I don't know if humans can necessarily eat them without processing them, a bit like wheat and etc. etc. You have to turn them into something like flour or into coffee grounds. I've never done it myself, although I have drank acorn coffee and I didn't find it very flavorful at all, very nice personally. But yeah, there are things that we can do with it. And Bethan says, was the cucumber tasty, Anne? I haven't seen her yet, so I'm pretty sure it would taste just as good. Nonetheless, it is just a bit of fun, isn't it? Let's go back to it and have another look. You know, that C-shaped cucumber. I mean, we've been conditioned with supermarkets to think everything should look perfect, and when they're shaped like that, we often, with noise going out there, we often have a tendency to throw them away. No point throwing them away. We want to make the most of it. We want to eat it. We want to enjoy it. So cucumbers are one of those. A bit like carrots as well. They turn, you know, we don't always eat them when they're perfectly shaped. Stuart says, sorry, Anne, acorn coffee was used a lot during World War II. There you go, something you can do with all these acorns. So what's another picture or another category that we have? We have got the smallest squash as well. Let's throw this one up here and see what anybody says. Some weird noises going on outside. Smallest squash. Again, I think this only had one person enter it. As I said, it's all about a bit of fun, isn't it? And this has came from Stuart Jackson, who I have seen tonight, and his squash just at the end of a pencil. Slightly out of focus, I'm afraid, in this photo. But yeah, you get the idea. That is no bigger than a pencil, that squash. And this was sent to me quite recently, so it definitely wasn't much bigger by now, I very, very much doubt. Tiny little thing, but hey, That's what the fun is all about. Sorry, just taking a swig of my coffee. Yeah, tiny little squash. I don't know if it was a pumpkin, a butternut squash, or an acorn squash. Talking of acorns, um, anything like that, I don't know. What else have we got? Digwell says acorn needs leaching a few times until the water stays clear. So interesting, interesting. Has anybody actually turned acorn into anything edible other than obviously trees? Let us know. Anybody actually? I've drunk acorn coffee, but acorn flour or anything like that? Let us know. Toby Stream says I only had 3 small miserable cucumbers. Still ate them though. They taste good though. They taste good. That's the important thing. We done loads of cucumbers this year, really loads, and we're really happy with them. Definitely going to be growing the Vinlo pickled again next year because they just produced so well for us. Nicholas says, hi all, sorry I'm late potting animals away. It's getting dark, isn't it? We are going to have to think about it. Turbo Stream says, I have a few mini squash fruits. Can they still be eaten? I don't see why not. You know, we haven't even harvested our pumpkins or butternut squash just yet. There's still time before that is ready. Um, our pumpkins might be harvested in the next couple of weeks, but they will still keep going. Even our butternut squashes are still green, but there's still time. I've harvested butternut squashes, for example, mid-November last year, so no rush on it. Digwell says the squash was squashed. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Anna Jones says so small we can't see it. Yeah, it was pretty small. It was pretty small in that photo. What else have we got? Stuart Jackson says you are correct about the squash. It's still very small. I don't think we will be eating it anytime soon. Well, yeah. I mean, there's still a chance it might grow a bit more, but not much, not much. Like I said, my butternut squashes I have down on the allotment. It's been a funny year for butternut squashes, but they're only about that big, really. And some of them are still green. Some of them are still doing, or still germinating, or not germinating, fruiting, shall we say. But we'll still get them. The great thing is, you probably saw a pop picture up the other day of our shark's fin melon. That's a cucurbit, I assume anyway. It's a cucurbit by the look of it, and that's probably about that big, and that's doing really, really well. We've got a few more flowers and more squashes just suddenly developed in the last couple of weeks as well. So there's still time. There's still time, especially with the weird weather we are having this year. Turbo Stream says, I'm not sure the cold weather will help my squash now. It may not stay cold. I don't know what the long-term weather report is going to say, but um, it might, we might suddenly have a warm blast again. I don't know. We just got to react as and when we see it. Stuart Jackson said, did anyone else get a frost last evening? I know Digwell did. In fact, he says straight below that, yes, he did. I didn't, but very rare I get that frost here anyway. Just purely because I'm so close to the sea, we get a bit of a warming effect from the sea. What else have we got? Turbo Stream says, I'm mindful of a bitter courgette from a couple of years back. Yes, the bitter courgette. So what Turbo Stream is alluding to there is a few years ago there was some courgette seeds that the courgettes produced were bitter, and the bitterness was caused by a particular poison. It's normally found in all courgettes anyway, but in small doses. But this particular, because it had been cross-pollinated, which is always a risk when it comes to anything from the cucurbit family, because of the cross-pollination, the courgettes were so high in this poison, they were so bitter, they were completely inedible, and it made a few people sick. So something like Turbo Stream is alluding to. However, what I would say, if you want to test your courgette, pick it, just stick or give it a lick, just a small lick, And if it's bitter, don't eat it. But if it's okay, it should be okay. I know did make you very ill back then, so I very hope you are okay now. Anna Jones says frosty lawn this morning. Talking about the frost, we didn't have it here, but Turbo Stream didn't notice a frost today. I can't say I noticed a frost either, but it certainly felt very cold when I went outside. We took the dog for a walk about midday, and even then it was cold, especially in the shade. So a frost is possible. It is certainly possible, but very rare I get a frost here on the south coast. Right, let's have a look at our third one, which is the smallest potato. Smallest potato category. Again, this one I think I only had one entry for. So if you entered it, there's a good chance you are going to win. And this one goes to Kate. I haven't seen her yet. Kate, and this potato that measures, that's 20 milliliters, 20 millimeters, sorry, 2 centimeters. That is tiny. You're certainly not going to get much out of it. Peeling it won't leave much behind. Might be able to use it for something like potato salad or something, boiled with the skins on, but there's not much you can eat from that potato, is there really? Now, these small potatoes are usually the ones that... Oh, she is there. Sorry, Kate, I didn't see you. She is there. Well done, Kate. You have won this round. These small potatoes are usually the ones that are left in the ground, aren't they? They usually will go on to become volunteers and become next year's volunteer potatoes, don't they? I always think it's weird that the volunteer potatoes, the ones that we don't remove, a bit like many other things, always seem to grow better than ones that we actually plant. And I think that is just purely because they're reacting to their own instincts. They're growing exactly when they know the time is right. And just leaving them in the ground like that, they make their own decisions up. Of course, that means you don't necessarily get food from it. But yeah, I always notice that volunteers seem to do better than anything else. Right, let's have a look on there. Stuart Jackson says, no mash for you then, Kate. Indeed. Digwell says, Sutton Seeds still have the cucurbitacine toxin warning on their website. It was always it is always a bit of a problem. It's something to be wary of, but it can happen even without being from the seeds. It can happen anyway. Belly Silly and Allotment Man. Sorry, folks, I'm late. It was a great day. Couldn't leave the allotment. Lovely to see you, Belly Silly. Hope you are well, my friends, and keeping safe. Kate says mini potato glory. Yes, you can have that award. We don't actually have prizes for this year, but hopefully next year, if we do this, if you guys enjoy this and feel we can get involved and do something bigger and better next year, we're going to try and get prizes to add to these competitions, because you know what, it's a bit of fun. Digwell just come through, says, I'm guessing you never downloaded my pictures then, as I entered the smallest spud. I don't think I saw that, Digwell. Was it smaller than 20 millimeters? 2 mil. I don't think I saw it. I don't think I saw it. I did think it was weird that I didn't get any entries from you, Digwell, actually. Yeah. Bethan says, well done, Kate. Indeed, well done, Kate. Actually, how many of you on this note, how many of us have taken part in Digwell's potato competition? And Has anybody harvested their potatoes just yet? Don't tell me how well you've done. I'm going to harvest mine next weekend, maybe even this week. I don't want to see who else has taken part and not how well you've done, but whether you've harvested them yet or not. Is there still time, Digwell? Let me know that. Right, I am going to put a quick sew along video up now because why not? It seems about the right time. So this week I think it was TurboStream who wanted me to sow cauliflowers. Right guys, it's time for this week's sew along, and this week it was chosen to sow some cauliflower. So what I've got here is my rubber tray, which I filled with seed sowing compost, bit of perlite mixed in there, and I'm just digging out a few holes about 1 centimetre deep. Now we're going to take the seeds. I mean, cauliflower seeds look much like most brassica seeds, and we're just going to drop a single seed into each plug plant. As you probably no doubt know, this year I've been moving more onto these sort of plug plant style for when it comes to sowing seed, and actually it works out quite nicely. I find we're able to basically not worry too much about transplanting things as quick as we used to when they were all sown in a pot. I still do, of course, sow some in pots as you've seen in the past, but these plug plants are working great for me, and this rubber one is just a great thing to use for it as well because it's reusable. Anyway, these cauliflowers, we're going to get these sown, and I expect germination might take about 2 weeks. I'm going to place this tray actually in the greenhouse. It's suddenly dropped in temperature, especially today, so I think it's just going to need a little bit of warmth just to keep it going. So we'll get those in the greenhouse. Once they germinate, we'll leave them to grow in these plug plants, and when they are big enough that they can be transplanted and planted outside, we will plant them outside. Now, I'm probably going to still do these outside under a cloche or something, just because despite it being fairly mild here, I think in order to guarantee that we get enough seeds, we need to make sure that they get a bit of warmth and a bit of protection. That way, I would expect that we get cauliflowers some point, probably April, May time from this sowing, which is something to look forward to, isn't it? Of course, don't forget the label, I nearly forgot that. Looking after cauliflowers is fairly easy. You just treat them like any other brassica. Plenty of lime, plenty of compost. They do like a bit of a firm soil. But yeah, fairly easy to look after. The difficult thing is knowing when to harvest, and that's something I find difficult to put into words. So I'll let you guys tell us what you think is the best way to tell when your cauliflowers are ready to harvest in the comments down below. And don't forget to let us know what seed we should sow next week. Right, back to the studio. Yes, there we go. Cauliflower is sown. And yeah, please do share us when you find is the right time to harvest the cauliflower. I always think that's a challenge with it, isn't it? If you leave it too late, it bolts. But if you leave it too early, it's not big enough, and it can bolt very quickly, particularly with summer cauliflowers. So let's know your tips for growing cauliflowers. What have we got? Graham says, I will do the spud challenge next year. Fingers crossed. If let's hope Digwell does it again next year. Kate says, I did Digwell's challenge, harvested potatoes, and they were lovely. Excellent. And Stuart, sorry, Digwell, I forgot to enter, but my potatoes were very poor this year, both at school and at home. So I haven't harvested mine yet. I was giving them a little bit longer before harvesting them. But we're going to have to get them out soon. Jenny says, hello, sorry I'm late, chasing my tail today. Hope you are all well. Hope you are well too, Jenny. Lovely to see you. She goes on to say, first frost for us last night. Bloody cold out there now, and can't believe how dark it's getting already. It's like someone has flicked a switch and winter is upon us. Yes, indeed. It does feel like that this week, doesn't it? Winter is suddenly here. It's suddenly got very cold. And all we can do is hope that it's going to warm up or look forward to next year. But we need it. I think we need a bit of cold every now and then just to help our gardens, our allotments, and sort of clear the end of a season or make it clear when the season ends. If it's sunny all the time and we don't get a clear season, I'm terrible at for like not getting rid of plants until they really are died back. So things like my pumpkins, if they didn't die back, I would leave them in the ground. So sometimes a bit of cold just helps us out for that. Ballycillian says, I harvest the cauliflower as soon as possible. Better eat something than wait and they bolt. Yeah, I mean, I find that when cauliflower, a bit like broccoli as well, when it first shows its head, it's a small head. Then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it bolts. And it's just getting it to that point that it is the right size. That I think the only way I can define it is that you learn from experience just to get it before they bolt, and it's very hard to pull into words. Again, I know what many gardeners will do is cover over the leaves, especially with the summer ones. It says it's cover over the cauliflower over the leaves to stop them from bolting, but yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. Bethan's Kitchen Garden says, I'm terrible at harvesting collies. I usually leave them too late. Indeed, we do. Gutted. WeTransfer says, not downloaded, sent in mid-September. I was just pulling up my emails to see if I had any from you that I haven't mid-September. So that would be, I've got, no. What date did you send them on, Digwell? All I've got from you in September was for tool time that I can see. That's annoying. That's annoying. Anna says, hello from Montreal. Still warm in here. Still managed to keep my passion flower alive on my balcony. Passion flower, lovely. When I went to St. Lucia, I always remember this from passion flower. When I went to St. Lucia, I actually brought back some passion flower seeds I was selling in the airport to try and grow. And we actually grew it, but it just didn't survive the winter here. Passion fruit, sorry, that was going to be. Would be great to grow passion fruit, wouldn't it? Stuart Jackson says, has anyone else noticed there are still loads of whitefly about? We had lots of them in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've noticed, I can't say I've noticed whitefly, but I don't really get much from that. We'll see. Anna Jones says, your cucumber just won it, Anna. Yes, your cucumber won the weirdest vegetable. That one did. Perhaps a different email address for pics so they don't get lost in the mix. Yes, that could work, couldn't it? We'll figure something out to try and make this better. Here we go. Digwell says, no worries. It was a week before tool time. I'll send twice in the future. LOL. I'll pop the pics up on Facebook for others to see. Yeah, please do. Please do. Digwell normally messages me as well, which is why it's unusual not to have seen that when he sends anything over. So who knows? Who knows? I don't know what happened. Somebody else said they sent stuff by WeTransfer and I didn't get it as well recently. So who knows? Jenny says loads and loads of whitefly, biblical amounts. And Anne says, I'm so proud. Indeed, yeah. We have got the final category, which is the rudest vegetable. And I thought this is be a bit of a laugh, this one as well. And it certainly is. This one we actually had several entries. So I've picked the three favourite. In third place, we have Kate again with this. I think it's a pair that look a bit phallic. Um, yeah, put that in third place. I'm sure you can see what I mean when I say it looks a bit phallic. Um, I mean, it's rude vegetables. Most rude vegetables do look like that, don't they? But yeah, I'm not sure what's caused that pear to go like that. I'm sure it's probably something that's done that. Next, we have Kate again, and this time it is with a carrot or three carrots that have joined together. Again, they look a bit like a bloke with no wearing no trousers or anything. So yeah, certainly uh, uh, an interesting one. This is Kate again with that. Now that was in second place, and in third place was this one again from Anne with a prickly cucumber that looks like um, I- um, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to do, what to say with that. Yeah, I'm trying to be polite with that. Um, yeah, it's I know what it looks like, and I don't know what to call it. Um, but yeah, I gave that one first place. Turbo Stream says mine got downloaded for this on the second try. Did they get entered? I think yours did get entered, yes. But let me see. Let me see. What did we have? I can see yours. Um, yeah, I can see the emails. Yours would have gone into the mix as well. Um, but yeah, I will put all the others. I'll put all the others up in the group at some point if you so want. Graham has worded it for me. A prickly nut. There you go. Um, a prickly nut. That you'll get me to try and say it. Go on, Richard. Say it. Says Kate. Or Anne says something that I have that she doesn't. Yeah. Um, indeed. Uh, Richard, you should have prepared a script for the rudest vegetables. You're struggling, LOL. Yeah, I'm struggling with everything tonight for some reason. I don't know what's going on. At least the connection seems a bit better today. Kate, you're a bit of an expert at growing rude veg. Indeed, yes. Yeah. It was a bit of fun, wasn't it? A bit of fun. Um, Jenny says we'll say it if you don't. Well, I think you've all Graham said a prickly nut was probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. Kate says my veg are a reflection of the grower's maturity levels. Yeah, I think that definitely sums that up. We are all that mature, aren't we? Well, and Anne actually says I've decided not to grow them again as they are not that appetizing. What was it? What was it? Was it a type of cucumber or something? Um, let us know. Let us know. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to think what happened to Digwell's or the other pictures that got missed. I think what we're going to have to do this again next year. We'll have to try and find a better way of getting the photos to us or something. Um, we'll figure something out. We'll figure something out if we do it again. Anne says a lemon cucumber. Well, I thought it might be something like that. Or Jenny asks if it was a crystal lemon cucumber. Kate says a gentleman's gooseberry. That's probably the best way to describe it, actually. Yeah, gentleman's gooseberry. But going back to what Anne says, the lemon cucumber, she said earlier, I've decided not to grow them again as not that appetizing. I found that when I grew them, they weren't very appetizing. They were a bit yeah, I think I tried the apple one and the lemon one. They just weren't I didn't think. I know a few. I know Jenny. I think you've grown them crystal lemon cucumbers and quite like them. I didn't find them myself to be that great, but who knows? We will try again in the future. Oh, there we go. So there we go. Yeah, that is the categories that I've got for this year's alternative veg grower show. We will do it again next year, and we just have to try and make it better at getting the information over or something. Perhaps we have to. No, not everybody's on Facebook, so I can't do it like that. We might have to do it on the website or something to make it a bit better. Yeah. Digwell says SSPC 2023 entries close on the 31st of October 2023. Reminder video coming soon. So if you are joined in the potatoes, single potato challenge, that is, for the Digwell setup, you've got your entries to get in by the 31st of October. Remind me, Digwell, do they have to be a video? Remind me of that. Nicolette says, maybe Richard, you sent a confirmation to entry so people know you've received. That's not a bad idea. I think I might set up a separate email address as well to see what we to make it a bit better. That might be an idea. Yeah. And so it's all a learning curve doing this, isn't it? Digwell says sometimes two veggies should not be crossed, like cucumber and lemon. I agree. Yeah, there's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And cucumbers and lemons, I can't say I just didn't like them myself. Jenny says a good handful size. A good handful size, they are best. I'm referring to the crystal lemon cucumbers, not a prickly nut or gentleman's gooseberries. Yeah, but same as the melons, though, isn't it? The melons. I mean, I think you've all seen the picture I pull up of the shark's fin melon, which is about that big. It's a decent size now. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to taste like. That's the real thing, is what this shark's fin melon is going to taste like, because I've got no idea what it's going to taste like and what we're going to do with it. It should be interesting, to say the least, but it certainly has grown well, and it's certainly something I quite like the idea of growing if it tastes good enough to when we eat it. Digwell says videos or photos for the potato challenge, but hide the weights, please. Okay, fair enough. Margaret says, if you would like me to collect the entries next year to my email, I have a spare email address. I can then collate everything and send on to you. That might be an idea, Margaret. Yes, that might be an idea. That will do that for next year. Yeah, well, I think we'll do that. I mean, I suspect I will still get some sent to me as well, but we will try and do that to make it a bit more of a better. Chili Kate says, oh, laughing at Jenny with the handful of everything. Yeah, right. What's the time? 22. I'm going to get up the mission video for this week, because that's something we can talk about as well. So let's go have a look at this. Well, this week's mission was tool care, and I like this idea, but I thought what I'll do is actually film a video each week showing a different tool and how I care for it. So this week, it's quite a simple one. It is my good old trusty spade. I've had this for years, and it's quite an old one, and a good solid one. Now the great thing is with this spade is it doesn't need a huge amount of care. The first thing I want to do is just with a stiff brush give it a good brush off to try and clear off any of the lingering mud. Now this spade does have a bit of rust on it, but I'm not too worried about that because it is just surface rust. And what I could do, of course, is get a bit of sandpaper and just grind all the rust away. But I'm not too worried about that today because I'm quite lucky in that I use my sand and oil mixture to keep everything going great. But yeah, ideally, good brush off, clear off any rust. Now, or sandpaper, and that would do that. At the same point, it's worth sharpening the actual tip of this spade as well, which doesn't need doing. A file on this would work, or an angle grinder. That's fairly easy to do. I'll probably show you more of that when I do a hoe. So that will be what we would do with the actual spade itself. The handle is what I want to concentrate on today. Now this handle is quite smooth, so it doesn't need sanding down or anything, but ideally if you feel you need to, if it doesn't feel smooth, it's worth giving it a sand down. That way it just makes it a bit softer and easier to use in your hands. Instead, what I'm going to do with the actual handle, I'm going to spray it in some linseed oil or teak oil, depending on what we have. Let me get this right, because it's coming out the wrong way, but never mind. We just spray that, there we go, all over the handle. Now usually I would actually do this over my sand bucket so that any of the excess dribbles down into the sand bucket and it just adds a bit more oil to the sand. But this ain't doing too bad. Now what we're doing by using this is we want to let the oil soak into the handle, soak into this wood. That way it becomes a bit softer and less likely to break and less brittle, which is what we really want with these handles. It's often overlooked. I've actually taken a bit of care with the handles, but for me, once a year at least, I like to give this a good oiling up to take care of it. As I said, there's a wide range of things I use: linseed oil, teak oil, and I'm just experimenting with some sheep's stuff as well. But for this, that's done that. Now, what we're going to just do, I think that more or less, even though it's going everywhere, more or less done. So all we're going to do with this is just leave it to dry and let that oil soak into the handle. We may have to reapply it if we feel we need a second coat, but give that half hour, it'll be fine. And I'll show you this back in the studio, which is where we're going to go now. There we go. This is that very spade. As I said, I wanted to focus this week on the woodwork, on treating the woodwork so that it is more or it makes it less likely to break when we are using it. And what happens a lot with wood handles is they dry out and they lose some of their suppleness, so, and then they go brittle and then they snap easier, which is something that's happened recently with my hoe. So by treating the handle regularly, I use teak oil in that, or linseed oil, which I just sprayed on. Let it soak into the wood, and this might actually need another coat. It feels like it can do with another coat. So we're there, but you can see, if you saw at the beginning of that video, the color of this handle was a lot sort of brighter, a lot whiter. Now it's gone darker. It's the oil soaking in and making that wood that bit more rejuvenated and last a little bit longer. I think it is often so overlooked when it comes to garden tools. You know, I love wooden handled tools. I love using my tools for things like that, and just looking after them, soaking those wooden handles in a bit of oil, treating them, they just last that much longer. So I don't know how old this spade is. is pretty old, but if you look after your tools, they will look after you. So yeah, each week I'm going to do a different tool and show you what I do to maintain it. That's separate from the mission. Just going to be something that we can do over the next few weeks to do that. I think next week is going to be my secretaires, because I can strip those down and show you. I mentioned some sheep stuff that I'm trying. Let's put this up on that camera, and this is it. It's called You Stop Rot Wood Preserver, and it's derived from sheep's wool or something, as I understand it. The linolin, I think it's called. So I'm going to be trying that out and see how that gets on in the future. So yeah, keep your eye out on seeing how that goes. Let's have a look at the comments and see what's going on. So Digwell says, is there any combo of brassicas that has not been tried? Not seen Brussels sprouts with cauliflower heads yet. OL. It's possible, isn't it? It could happen. Kalettes were the thing, the cross between kale and Brussels sprouts. Weren't very nice, were they? What about a cross between a cabbage and broccoli or something like that? Don't know. Margaret says you can send your entries on to me so they are all in one place. Yeah, I'll put all these entries into its own file on my computer, but we'll figure it out. We'll do something. I'll try and automate it as well. I'll have a word with my IT guy and see if we can do something that automates it to make sure it is all good. Turbo Stream says Catelets Digwell were awful when I grew them. Catelets were awful when Turbo Stream. Yeah, they were awful when I grew them as well. I can't. They were meant to be a superfood or something, and I just wasn't that interested in them. Anne says shark's fin melon / fig leaf gourd makes angel's hair jam a French delicacy. Still looking for the recipe. If you find the recipe, pass it on, please, because I'm looking for things that I can do with this shark's fin melon and see how if we can make it that we want to grow it again. Anne says, do you know if you've chosen next week's topic? I'm about to spend 6 months with snow cover, so need inspiration for indoor growing. We haven't chosen it yet, but that's something I will write down. I must have a spare as a possible subject for next week. Indoor growing. Actually, that's going to be a good subject. Indoor growing. Make a note of that. If anybody else has an idea for next week, let us know. Scott says, I need to treat my wooden tools, not something I've done before. It's worth it. Honestly, if you've got wooden tools, you know, when you buy your brand new wooden tools, they feel nice. They're often covered in varnish, to be honest. But over time, that wood goes brittle and dries out. You want to keep that, and that's when it breaks. That's what you want to keep it hydrated with a bit of oil. That's what I say. I call Kalets aphid magnets, says Digrell. They have no place on an allotment. I wasn't impressed with them. I was not impressed with them, so I'm not bothered again. Graham says cabbage and broccoli, a cockily. Yeah, cockily, yeah. Bit like dogs, isn't it? How dogs are mixed breeds all the time and all the different things like that. Digwell says mineral oils for metals, veg oil for woods, lanolin for bone products. Speaking as an engineer. This is something actually, Digwell has often said. I mean, mineral oils to me, I've always been wary of because I instantly think of things like engine oil, and I don't want that on my stuff, so I tend to stick. But I guess paraffin would probably be a mineral oil that we could use for metals. Again, veg oil is what I tend to use for my garden tools, and lanolin, which I think that's what this stuff is meant to be. Lanolin. Looking at it, I'm trying to see if it says on here. I know it's derived from sheep's wool, which is something I'm experimenting with. It could be a lanolin. Turbo Stream says Anne's topic is a good one. Excellent. And is anyone having problems posting comments here? Mine seem to fail after 15 seconds or so. I comment again. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. I'm pretty much reading every single comment out tonight. So if I'm seeing it, well, if I see it, you will see it. It's possible there's something going on. I don't know. Anna says several of mine disappeared at Digwell. I'm not. Keep trying. Keep trying. Um, Yeah, Bethan says my first comment failed, but the rest have been okay. And Graham says no problems here. I haven't seen many comments apart from Margaret, Dad, and Scott from Facebook, so I don't know what's going on there. Who knows? We always get problems with these live stream. Wouldn't be a live stream without a problem in some ways. Lanolin is from sheep, linseed for wood. Yeah, linseed or teak oil is what I tend to use. Teak oil is more for garden furniture, admittedly, but linseed oil. One thing I do warn anybody when using linseed or anything like that is if you pour it onto a rag and then do whatever you're doing with it, you then take that rag and put it into a plastic bag and tie that plastic bag up. It is possible for the vapors basically to outweigh the oxygen in the bag and it self combusts. We had this on my old allotment where somebody did exactly that. The shed caught fire because they had just thrown it in a bag. They tried blaming kids, but the fire brigade did their investigation and actually said no, it started from this bag from this stuff. So if you are using a rag, do not put it in a plastic bag. What I try and do is I take that rag and I put it in a bucket of water straight away to try and give it a good wash out. That way it reduces the chance of it self-combusting. Anne says, I thought my eyes deceived me when I saw comments disappear. How bizarre. So usually I will see any comments, even if they get deleted by the person who wrote them because of the service that I use for these live streams. And I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that at all. So I don't know. Don't know. Let's just have a look and see if anything is going on. At this point, don't forget, please do give us a thumbs up and a like if you are enjoying this show. And don't forget to follow and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notifications so that you know when we go live. Jenny says, I've been researching raised bed ideas, you and me both. I don't want any wood treatments to leach into the soil, but I do like chunky sleepers so I can perch on them. Metal ones are nice and choice of shapes. Thoughts? So, Jenny, I've actually been looking into this for years because I'm with you. I don't want any. I don't want any treat the wood and then it leach into the soil and then I eat my veg from it. So what I basically ended up doing, or I figured was the best way, is to buy untreated wood, but the thick stuff, like railway sleepers that have not been treated, and just use those. They will eventually rot. You know, you then going to have to replace them. The ones I've got are only about they're 45 mil thick, so 45 centimeter, 4.5 centimeters. That's what inch and a half in old money, I guess. They are thick. They're not thick enough that I can sit on them, but they're thick enough that I can put a piece of wood across and it'll support the weight. And they have lasted 3 years without rotting away, completely untreated so far. So that's what I would recommend. But ultimately it depends on how much money you've got. Metal ones would be great. Eventually, metal will rust regardless of what the metal is, and it's expensive, and I don't think they are thick. The other thing to think about is what the wood used as well. A good, say, oak is going to last a bit longer than pine as well. Just something to think about. Tapestry, my comment about a 3-time cultivator disappeared. Anyway, it had a screw loose. I didn't see it. And somebody cannot leave comments. So this is somebody in a Facebook group who said cannot leave comments. I'm not sure who it is, because how Facebook works sometimes I don't see who it is. But I can see that one. If you've written that, I've seen it. Nicholas says chestnut or green oak or larch. Pine will not last very long, or maybe. I think it's talking about what wood, the wood to use for these raised beds. Yeah, definitely think about what wood it is made from, because some wood doesn't last very long. Oak is a very long lasting one. Sorry, this is Digwell. Cannot leave comment on the YouTube live. Okay, that's Digwell over there. I don't know what's going on. If anybody else having trouble, or it does seem like people are having trouble. I'm not sure what's going on there. Toby Stream, I noticed my raspberries had grubs in them this week. Is it raspberry beetle? Most likely is raspberry beetle, yes. Um, yeah, I most likely is a raspberry beetle. I've had that where I've picked loads of raspberries, popped the raspberries in the fridge, and then we've gone to eat them, and there's loads of little maggots in them, and that is the raspberry beetle larvae. So yeah, yeah. David Williams says, talking of railway sleepers or our recycling depot will not accept them as they reckon they will have been contaminated by something or other. So if they've been used on the railway, if they are second hand, then there's a good chance they may be contaminated. But you can buy brand new railway sleepers, completely virgin, that have not been treated, if you can find it from the right place. Sorry, this is Digger. I cannot leave. I read that one. Anna Jones, do you have slow mode switched on? I think it stops some of the comments going through. No, I haven't done anything. Or I use a separate third-party software called StreamYard. So basically, I don't go into YouTube. It comes directly to me. So I haven't changed any slow mode settings or anything like that. I will double check that later, but as far as I'm aware, no, haven't done anything like that. I wouldn't, because there's no need to. Anne says, thoughts for indoor water gardening. Should I use grow lamps on herbs? How do people keep them alive, grow microgreens and keeping peppers alive, etc., etc.? Yeah, we will think about that and see what happens. Digrat says, dodgy stuff oils. Mineral oil on a wire wool can spontaneously combust. Wire wool was banned in the Navy. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah, it could be a problem. Could be a problem. Mineral oils and wire wool. This is why you got to take it care with it. Stu Jackson says, I am typing okay here. My friend has hardwood sawmill business. He said a lot of the green oaks comes from abroad and not as good now. Chestnut better from the UK. Larch will last 3 times longer than treated pine. Definitely something to think about. You know, the type of wood used is definitely something to think about. Belly Sim, that's not a bad idea. Everyone, do a comment check. If you are watching, just type comment check and we'll see if I can see everybody. Belly Sim says, seems to be okay. Jenny Hullett, I have railway sleepers that are old and second hand. They are beautiful, but I only use them on flower beds away from veg. Yeah, I mean, I've been looking into. I've spent years looking into the best wood for building beds, especially at home, because I don't want to contaminate my soil or anything like that. That way, the railway sleepers I looked into were where I can see lots of comment checks going up. The railway sleepers I looked into, they were pretty reasonably priced, and are untreated, but you would have to spend a fortune on them to really build your bed. So that's the trouble with it. Um, Old ones, they look great. They got that weathered look, but there is a chance they might have. I'm trying to think what it was called. They used to treat a lot of wood with it, and I can't think what it was called. It's not. It's, it's pretty creosote. That's the word, creosote. I think that's pretty much banned. Turbo Stream says garden focus suggests you clean the mulch away and to allow the birds to hopefully pick at the soil for the beetle larvae. Talking about the raspberry beetles, yes, that is one approach. Yeah, clear the mulch away and let the birds try and pick the soil, or you could get like raspberry beetle traps, which are pheromones, and they trap the insects if you put them up at the right time. I found them on Amazon. And that should hopefully reduce the risk of these garden raspberry beetles. They're horrible, aren't they? Because when you pick your raspberries, they look perfectly good and healthy, and then when you see them, literally the next day they've been in the fridge and it's just crawling with these sort of maggots. It really does put you off your raspberries. So let's see what happens. So there. Digwell says, I sent that word comment 5 minutes ago. I thought that seemed a bit, but I sometimes do notice comments seem to come out of time. So we'll keep a close eye. Turbo Stream says, then mulch with 5 layers of newspaper and mulch on top to break the cycle for the next year. We see what happens. Give it a try, Turbo Stream, and let us know how you get on with it. Right, comment check from Kate Spratt. Graham Bolton, check. Chili Field, comment check. Bethan's Kitchen Garden, comment check. Anne Costalis, comment check. Just running through. Digwell, on check. Stuart Jackson, comment check. Digwell, bitumen, creosote, oh, sorry. Margaret Peacock, comment check. And Jenny says, I can only see my comment, others not visible. I'll try. There's sometimes a setting where on YouTube, thinking about it, where you can get all comments or the highlights. So that might check what you're on. I can't think what it's called off the top of my head. There is a setting, but check that and see what it is. Where were we? We've read that one. Chili Fields says, we use pallet collars for raised beds. Get them for free from a friend's work. So funny enough, I when I first took on this allotment, I built all my beds using old pallet wood, which I cut the woods, cut through the nails to get plenty of wood, and they lasted. I actually had to treat the wood. The trouble is the wood doesn't last. It did rot away pretty quickly. And pallet collars might be a bit stronger. I don't know. I don't see or hear many reports of them rotted away, but the pallet wood, they didn't last long, and it just rotted to the point. That's why I'm always amazed when people make compost bins out of pallets. How long do they actually last? But I guess if they're free, it doesn't really matter. Anne says, I agree. I have several friends whose newish oak sleepers are rotting. You definitely always check to see what it has. And Nicola says, my soil was contaminated from the 1700s, 1860 mining. She's got a lot of arsenic in her soil, Nicola does. So we're worried about contaminating our soil when she has arsenic in her soil, which is awful. Turbo Stream says, comment check underway. This post will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Yeah. Nicholas Digwell, says, plus all the human waste on the old sleepers when I used to eject along the sleepers. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that makes you wonder what is on those old sleepers exactly. Right. Jenny says, oh, I think I said that one, but Kate's top of the comments, select live chat, not top chat. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, live chat, not top chat. That might be what's going on there. There's no pallet collars are pressure treated. All my beds are made from them. Excellent stuff. I've tried getting pallet callers in the past. I've never been able to get hold of them. As I said, now I just don't want to use any chemicals or have anything that might damage my soil. Right to the point I don't even clean my greenhouse with anything other than water, just because I don't want it. Jenny says, "Oh, that's better. Settings changed. You are all back. Thank you." Yeah, I'm wondering now if that's why the problem is top chat or live chat. Always annoying when it happens. Digwell says, "I built a raised koi pond with old sleepers. Okay, until we had hot day and the bitumen would leak out and stick to my kids' clothes." Yeah, yes. I mean that can happen with particularly pine when all the sap can come out in hot days as well. But bitumen, that horrible black stuff, and creosote as well, because it never seems to really dry and it leaches out. It was horrible stuff. So yeah, I think it was, I can't remember who it was who said that they tried burning off the creosote when they worked in a nursery one day. They left it overnight and came back to a load of ash from where it just burnt all the creosote off. Yeah, I mean, I think creosote was good for its job. I'm glad it's banned now. Anyway, Nicholas says, "Any Facebook photos today, or did I miss them when I went to get my ping mill?" There will be photos coming up shortly, actually. Just looking at the time. So, yeah. Turbo Stream, my cousin bought a metal raised bed like the ones a few YouTubers were sent. It seemed to offer a good solution if you can afford one. I was looking at those. I think I found on Amazon you could get 2 of those metal raised beds for £100, I think it was. I thought about it, but decided against it. I prefer wood. I'm sticking with wood. And that way I can make it to the size that I want. But yeah, the metal ones, they do seem very popular if that's something you are interested in. Graham, I use the all messages, not top chat, can see all comments, guys. Yeah. Anna Jones says, on my Amazon Fire, I'm getting a red cross beside my comment with please try again. That sounds like connection problems. I'm guessing. Digwell says, in response to the metal raised beds, Suttons do good ones. Good discount if you join their club too. Yeah, it's actually definitely very good. The Suttons ones, I've seen them. Again, I've not bought them. I thought about it. As I said, I'm building new beds over winter, but I'm deciding not to. Now, we did mention photos. So let's have a look at people's photos that have been posted this week. And there's a good lot, actually. So, first of all, Nicola, she posted this picture today. She actually posted quite a few photos, but this one I particularly liked. It's been moving, excuse me, moving her shed. As you can see, that's a pretty sizable shed she has there. That certainly looks like it took a lot of lifting and shoving to move. But yeah, a lot of hard work has gone on in that. Next, Steve Digwell. He has shared this picture of what his cars looked like this morning with 2 degrees C in his greenhouse last night. We've been saying it's cold. We're going to have to start thinking about dusting off those greenhouse heaters and things like that if you have them. Not something I use myself, but we may have to. Scott has been busy planting his garlic. This is something that he has only done because of the discussions we've had in this group and how passionate I am about growing garlic. I personally love growing it, and I will be continuing to grow it. But here, as you can see, quite a few beds of garlic going on in there. And looking at those beds, I'm trying to work out what they are made of. They're certainly wood. Is that pallet wood or something else? Let us know in the comments. Stuart, he's been teaching the kids how to take cuttings, and this is obviously at his school. Um, they're we're obviously big fans of taking cuttings and encouraging children to garden, of course, here. But here, I can see some sage and some what looks like it could be bay trees as well, and rosemary as well. So taking some great cuttings, he's cut the tips off to reduce the amount of moisture loss and covered it over in a bag. So all good to help. Anne has harvested this lovely collection of vegetables as well, which looks absolutely stunning, I've got to say. Good tomatoes, squashes. I particularly like the acorn squash there as well. There's peppers, there's aubergines. Absolutely fantastic. Just a huge range of colour. I wonder how long we're going to keep getting tomatoes for. When do you reckon we will harvest our last tomatoes? Take your bets now. Now, Chili Kate has had germination on her piece of ginger. This is absolutely fantastic because I love growing ginger. We grow quite a bit of it now. And to see this first little spike, it is a little late in the season, don't get me wrong, but to see this spike always is good to see. I think what you're going to have to do is keep it warm and keep it in the kitchen for as long as possible. And keep it in there. Hopefully it'll regrow next year. I usually find it dies off around December and then grows back around May time. So that is it. Keep sharing them photos, or Saharin as I've written in that. You can post them in our Facebook group, or you can send to me via social media or email me, richard@veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. Although I might look at getting a second email address just for photos and things like that. Just because it may have missed some of these emails. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Where are we? Right, Digwell says they are birdies, beds in Saturns. Best make in his honest opinion. So my question, when anybody says best make in their opinion, and I'm not saying anything against it, but I always wonder how many different makes do people try. So I've when it comes to things like spades, I always say my favourite spade is the one that I brought from a car boot years ago. I'm not able to go and buy 20 different spades to test them out. So I always wonder, how many different beds have you tried to come up with that, or is it just based on what you're looking at with your engineering background, Digwell? Turbo Stream says, I'm trying old raspberry canes to divide my beds up, not raised beds, but look okay. Yeah, I did that I do that on my garlic beds with bamboo canes just to separate them so I know what is what. Basically, does anyone find on the wood of raised beds become slug breeding nursery? I personally don't, but I know Charles Dowding particularly has said this as well, which is why he doesn't have edges. But it makes sense. Wood holds on to moisture, so slugs are going to love it. And Digrell says just below that, that's why I changed to metal. And funny enough, as I said, I was looking at metal beds, but I've decided I'm going to stick with wood. We don't get many problems with slugs and snails here, so I'm going to stick with wood. Turbo Extreme says, I did away with wooden dividers, Bally, full of slugs down the sides. So there's definitely something in it, isn't there? Definitely something in it. A TV program used concrete water sewage pipe cover sections as raised beds for veg. Is that a good idea? What problems does concrete have? Google gives you every answer under the sun. So you may not see it too much, but on my allotment, I actually have some of these concrete sort of water pipes. And I grew behind my greenhouse some potatoes in those to try and keep for seed for next year. So I can fairly confidently say that they work quite well. They are a bit porous, so they can lose a bit of moisture, but I don't see any problem with using them in the veg garden. The only trouble I would say is if they are used. If they have been used in the sewage and they've had sewage and stuff going down it, there may be chemicals in it. But my ones were completely virgin, never used, and they're only like that big. They're not like that big. They're not huge things, but they've been great for like when my soil was a bit poorer. I would put that in the ground or on the ground, fill it up with compost, and then plant something like a cucumber or called squash plant down to it, so it could get the compost from above and then start working on the soil down below. But yeah, I've used some of those. They're quite good, I've got to say. Digwell says, when I lifted mine, every rotten crack was full of slugs, talking about the wooden beds. That's just, for me, it's just, I like wood. So, yeah. Stuart says, the cuttings were all herbs. The children really enjoyed this activity. Hopefully, we'll be using the herbs in the cooking lessons. It's about that time when we want to start taking herb cuttings, isn't it, to go through the winter. Especially as it comes to things like rosemary and things like that we want for next year. Yeah. Ballycillian says, well, mine was the same. I removed the wood, just wondering if was it only me. It seems a very common thing. It does seem a very common thing, but I don't know what the best answer is. Aaron says, great picks, very neat garlic, Scott. I'm trying garlic elephant for the first time. You won't regret it. I love elephant garlic. Save the biggest bulb to replant next year as well. My top of a bit of advice. Digwet says, garden centres sell concrete planters to Jenny, so it's perfectly safe to sell concrete. So it's got something to think about. This might be a subject we can discuss in the future, isn't it? It's wood. I got it from work as it was used as shelving in the warehouse. I also used it for my fence. Literally got thousands of them. Got a friend with a lorry to collect them and donated most of it to the local wind energy museum. Excellent stuff. I thought it looked like some sort of wood. I was thinking it was pallets, but excellent stuff. I love recycling. Jenny says, good point, Steve, but is there different types? Concrete is concrete to me, but I have no idea. I want something deep, large and tall, not that I'm fussy. I'll let Steve answer that because I don't know. There might be different types of concrete. The ones I have are slot into each other, so you can make them as tall. They just may not be as stable. So see what happens. Nicholas says that's why I line with damp-proof material. Talking about stopping the wood from rotting. Again, I'm always wary about that because it's plastics, and we know there's a lot of problems with plastics. But plastic is still a very good material. Not seen any others offering a 20-year warranty. Talking about, I asked what made it his best in his opinion. 20-year warranty, that is very good actually. 20 years. All the others are Chinese copies. I bet their metal spray technique is not as good as the Aussie way. You know what? I swear some of the best stuff for gardening comes out of Australia. You know, I can think of so many decent companies in the garden world. They may not look the most attractive, but they do the job better than anything else. Came out of Australia. So, yeah. 20-year warranty is very good, actually. That is worth it, isn't it? I think my cousin's metal beds were birdies from Dobbies. Same company. So, yeah, Dobbies and I think Thompson and Morgan are still owned by Satins as well. Satins are all the same company, isn't it? The metal ones always seem too deep for my liking. I kind of wanted them deep, so but I get what you're saying. I do get you got to fill it up with a lot of compost. So yeah, get what you're saying. Indeed, they did seem good quality. I don't think that the concrete type matters, but if you're worried, just align them. Um, and Nicholas says, I got some smaller metal bed from Dobbies. So talking about metal beds, this got me. You got me rethinking if it's worth getting metal beds instead of what I was going to do. Damn you, damn you! You do this to me. I know I do it to you as well, but you get me thinking. I had a plan, and now my plan is possibly going out the window. I read that one, and Turbo Stream says my compost bin is from an Anderson shelter from World War II. I would love an old Anderson shelter. Was it Anderson the underground one or the table one? Otherwise, I would like the underground one. I would love to have an underground one in my garden as a bomb shelter / office / live stream studio to go down and record from and do things like that. It would be great, wouldn't it? Just I'd never be able to get one, but I would love one. Absolutely would. Nicola says, I got some smaller metal beds from Dobbies. You got me rethinking whether or not to get metal beds now. Digrat says, I posted a link to mine in the Facebook group. I would check that out. Scott says, I got some roof tiles for free, thinking of making a raised bed with them. Excuse me. It could work, making roof tiles. The only thing I would be concerned about is they can be quite brittle. But I know around my rhubarb, when I first moved into this house, the old owners actually lined it with roof tiles as well. I dug them up and replaced it with wood, but yeah, it did work there. Did work there. Jenny says, have I started something, the raised bed debate? No, you're actually, it's something I have been thinking a lot of, because as I said, I've got this area in my garden that I want to add raised beds, that where I did the straw bale gardening and the no sided beds this year, and I need sides. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. Turbo Stream says the ones I saw would be better at half the height for growing salads, etc., etc. I mean, I think of my veggie pod. That's a perfect size for growing salads, and that's about waist height. Plus, it holds on to moisture. But the deep fill ones, I think, the more compost and more soil, okay, it's more expensive to fill it, but then there's all those extra nutrients that are going to go on there as well. You'll need to tank it well, Richard, or it's not going to happen. It's just that I would love it. I think it would be a great little garden feature to do. And as Digwell says, however, don't go underground. Your signal is bad enough already. It's not been too bad today, has it? But you're right. Good thing is, yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay, perhaps not for Wi-Fi, but for everything else, it would just be a cool thing to do. Stuart Jackson says the raised beds at school are recycled plastic. I am sure they will last a lot longer than me. I thought about plastic as well. This is going to be a conversation we're going to have one day, isn't it? Raised beds material. Muddy Boots made a raised beds from slabs, if I remember, half buried in the grounds. I think you were right. Yes, paving slabs, half buried in the ground, which is a good idea. I just remembered I made some on my allotment. I made the corrugated iron beds which are pretty cool and have lasted well. They were actually originally the shed that I had here. Just didn't want to waste it. Metal garage doors cut up and using timber for frame is a cheaper way, or galvanized sheeting. Oh, don't say that. I'm getting my garage door replaced in a few weeks' time. That's given me an idea. Thank you. Thank you. And we got a guy who lives around the corner who does it, so I can always get hold of garage doors. Yeah, yeah. Turbo Extreme says, I will revisit the metal beds, so something to do in the winter on a rainy day in the house. Indeed, indeed. It gives you something to think about, doesn't it, when we're discussing this? You know, I could go back to raised beds, or do I stick with wooden, or do I go plastic? I was so set on it being wood. Digwell, did you do a raised bed review video, or have I dreamt that up? Don't know. Graham, I still think wood would look 100 times better than metal raised beds, in my honest opinion, and that is what I thought as well. You're making it hard for me to decide what to do. It's going to give me something to think about. Oh, he had Muddy Boots had trouble with them moving outwards, so he had to brace them. But Digwell does say garage doors can be flimsy aluminium. Yeah, true, true. Fill the bottom of the beds with logs, branches, twigs, and wood chip, then green waste, then home compost, and then grown medium. This is what I did with it's Hugel culture. What I did with one of my metal corrugated iron beds, I filled it up with or put a load of logs, big logs in the bottom, then twigs and wood chip, and then green waste on top and compost. And it became a Hugel culture, so it sort of holds on to moisture. Which is worked out really. It didn't do so good for onions, but on the what do you call it, the squashes, it has been fantastic. Definitely something to think about. Or you could use straw as well to save a bit of money. Something to think about, isn't it? I did an installation video. Oh, yeah, talking about the videos earlier. Tabstring, I hadn't seen that one, Digwell. It's a complicated business, this raised bed lark. Yeah. And I thought so, Steve. I will rewatch it. Thank you. Right. This has given us something to think about. Anyway, so let's start thinking about closing up. So next week we're going to be talking about indoor growing. What seed do you want me to sow next week, and what mission would you like me to tackle throughout this week for next week? We've got, in a couple of weeks' time, I think it's going to be Halloween as well. So we're going to have to do something a bit special for Halloween. In fact, I've made the lights behind us a special Halloween-y colour, just in case. I might need tweaking up a little bit, mightn't I? Hard to tell from this angle. But yeah, what seeds do you want me to sow? We're going to be talking about indoor growing next week. Turbo Stream has actually said for the mission, raised bed. I like it. I like it a lot. Mission. I like that a lot. I can build a raised bed. Although, did we talk about something last week? I can't remember. No. Jenny says, mission, build a raised bed with a trial area. Raised bed. So there we go. We're going to do that. But now all we need is a seed. And we're going to be talking about indoor growing, especially as we're going to be looking at the winter time. What's that? Right, Nicola says, I got from Facebook 9 straw bales for straw bale growing after I heard others saying. I tried it, it didn't work for me. Maybe I did something wrong though. Hergel Fergal culture will always cost you in the end, as you have to top up with compost sooner or later. Agreed. Agreed. But you do that to your beds anyway. You do that to your soil. You're topping up with compost anyway. It's just what my understanding with hugelkultur is, it creates this sort of moisture trap in the wood, as well as the mycelium network and the fungi and stuff that help the plants out in the future, as I understand it. Like I said, when it comes to compost, you're going to be topping up anyway. So, yeah, yeah. Nicola says, you say about DPM, plastic a concern. Do we know if veggie pods are made from safe plastics? So my concern isn't so much about the plastic itself. It's when you're hoeing the beds and you end up slicing a little bit of the plastic that ends up in the soil. That's my concern. A hoe is quite sharp and it can cut that plastic off quite easily. Now, the veggie pods are recyclable, but because I'm not using a hoe or going to cut it into little ribbons, it's less of a concern for me. Like I say, it's more about the tiny little pieces of plastic left in the soil that worries me. Turbo Stream says, don't know on seeds. I sowed some lettuce this week, Lo. Nicholas says microgreens, which actually works quite nicely with next week's subject. And Digwell says daikon mooli. But we've got another one for microgreens. There we go. Yeah. And Anna Jones says quick tray of mustard and cress. Yeah, we're going for microgreens. Absolutely. Microgreens. Fantastic. Right, guys, we have gone into overtime slightly. So I think it is, let's go on to a flashy scene. I think it is time to wrap this up and say good night. Sorry, it's been a little bit disjointed. We will be back again next Sunday. I will be back into full-on mode and we will be talking about indoor growing, which is a good subject, I've got to say. Completely good subject. You take care. Don't forget to please keep sharing your photos in the group so we can see what you are doing. We have got all the videos from last week. I think there's just one more I need to post, maybe two more in the group as well. I know not everybody's on Facebook, but please do go check it out if you are on Facebook. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, click the notification, etc., etc. And we will do this all again next Sunday at 6 p.m. And feel free, if you are doing any indoor growing or anything, to send in some videos so we can see what you're doing as well. Have a great week, everyone. You take care. See you again next time.